This is going to be a bit longer than my usual stuff, but this is something I feel needs to be said. I was doom scrolling Twitter the other night and I came across a tweet that was bringing this gem to attention. It reads, "No, you're not a real gamer. I'm so sick of all these people who think they're gamers. No, you're not. Most of you are not even close to being gamers. I see these people saying, I put well over 100 hours in this game, it's great. That's nothing, most of us can easily put 300 plus hours in all our games. I see people who only have a Nintendo Switch and claim to be gamers. Come to me when you pick up a PS4 controller, then we be friends. Also, dear all women, Pokemon is not a real game. Animal Crossing is not a real game. The Sims is not a real game. Mario is not a real game. Stardew Valley is not a real game. Mobile games are not real games. Put down the baby games and play something that requires challenge and skill for once. Sincerely, all of the actual gamers." Okay, I've played games on enough different consoles over 30 years that I've lost count. Do you mind if I weigh in? This is one of the worst takes I've seen regarding video games in a hell of a long time. Let's unpack that first bit. Well done if you can put in 300 hours to a game. Unfortunately, not all of us can. I most certainly consider myself a gamer, but I can't put all the available hours into playing. In my personal situation, I've got 2 young kids that I have to take care of while dealing with health problems. Other people have to take the likes of work, family, friends, life into consideration. Also, having issue with people that only have a Switch for gaming? Really? A console that is built literally by the company that made sure video games were still a viable concept after the industry crashed and burned in the mid-80s? Yes, it's a more family-friendly platform, but that doesn't make it a lesser platform compared to Xbox and PlayStation. Personally, I've got consoles from all 3 major platform holders hooked up, and I tend towards playing more on my Switch, especially when my kids are here, thanks to it being portable as well. Now, as for that other paragraph, let's start with what your concept of a video game is. I'm guessing your dashboard is filled with FIFA and FPS games. Competitive games. Problem is, that's just one facet of gaming. The games that you listed off as not being games are some of the highest selling series in recent years. Yes, Pokemon might be a cutesy anime game, but it's a game that has a surprisingly deep RPG mechanic hidden below the cartoon aesthetic. Animal Crossing and Stardew Valley are relaxing games with mechanics that can make every playthrough unique to the individual. I started my first proper Stardew Valley playthrough the other night and lost hours before I realised what was happening. And Mario, the biggest mascot in gaming? It's an accessible game, and it has been since the NES days, but to dismiss it as not a game? Have you seen the Kaizo scene? Or the speedrunning communities that master every pixel of every course to optimise the fastest route to the goal? Of course, the big trigger here is that you're aiming this mostly at female players, and that's a toxic mindset that should have been erased years ago. I grew up in the period where video games were still heavily a boys' club, no girls allowed and all that, but I never bought into that. When it was the end of term and I brought my Game Boy to class to play, I'd happily let the girls play as well if they wanted to, and more than a handful usually would. The gender barrier in gaming definitely got broken down over the last 20 years. Yes, it was more due to quote-unquote casual games thanks to the rise of the DS and the Wii, and mobile games for that matter, but that tends to be the gateway to different genres and play experiences. My ex-wife would borrow my Xbox and she beat Mirror's Edge before I had a chance to, and despite not being great at the game, by her own admission, she got nothing but enjoyment from playing Need for Speed Shift. The worst thing is, this toxic opinion also degrades the people who put the games together. Ask anyone who worked in Animal Crossing, or The Sims, or Pokemon, or any mobile game, even if it's a pay-to-win Skinner box of a game, and they'll tell you that they are a game developer. Just because it's not an experience where you can turn someone's head into a fine mist with a well-placed shot, doesn't mean that it's not a game. And that's the great thing about video games. It is a hobby with a huge, diverse ecosystem. Regardless of your experience or your age or your social background or your gender, there is something for you. If you pick something up and you don't like it, or you feel you've gotten enough out of it, then you can put it down and find another experience. Do you want something frantic? You're covered. Do you want a team-based shooter? You're covered. Do you want something with an engaging story? Do you want something that's chilled out? Do you want something that puts your mind to the test? There is something for you out there. This gatekeeping bullshit just doesn't need to happen anymore. Just because you don't like a certain game or series or genre, it doesn't invalidate the people who do enjoy them. Video games are for everyone, and I will happily tell anyone regardless of age, gender, sexuality or social background to pick up a pad and play if they want to.